And we're back here, Phillies #1 college radio station, WHIP. Zach Gelb here with you for the main event. Flying solo, taking you up until noon Eastern time, where Temple Sports Hour will come your way. My next guest actually has been with me through the first day when I actually decided I wanted to get involved in radio, and that's when I was watching his radio program along with Sid Rosenberg up in New York for WFAN, and he still now works at WFAN along with WIP here in Philadelphia and nationally on the CBS Sports Radio Network, and that's our good friend Jody McDonald. Jody Mack and Zach Gelb here. How are you?
DJ, how you been?
Well, I'm doing great, and I understand that your daughter actually does go to Temple University, and I've talked to her a few times about the communications program. So will you be watching the Temple Owls on Wednesday as they open up American Athletic Conference play in the tournament?
I'm hoping to be somewhere. I'd love to be actually courtside, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because I've got some work to do. But, yes, I will be watching. It's been a tough season for the Owls on the hardwood this year, but first one in the new conference, building block year is the way I'm sure that Coach Duffy's going to look at it this year. But, yeah, I'll be tuned that maybe they can catch some lightning in the bottle here in the tournament.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see them even getting to the NIT this year. It's been a down year for Temple. It's been unfortunate. They lost the 5 seniors from the year ago where they made the nice run in the tourney as they lost Scooty, Khalif, and a whole bunch of other players as well, and they didn't really do a whole lot of a great job recruiting for this year. But next year it does look like it will get better for the Temple Owls. But what would you, if you sent your daughter to Temple University, and obviously it wasn't to play college basketball, but why do you believe that Temple over the years really hasn't been able to go out there and get the big recruits? I know they did lose Rashid Jordan to St. John's last year.
It's a good school, number one, as you know, and now my daughter knows, and she's happily in her second semester and doing quite well. Thank you very much. And I think they've got a good school history. They've certainly had their fair share of runs in the tournament. Haven't won the big dance overall, but been a constant tournament team and have had some success from years to years. And I do believe they had 2 outstanding coaches over the last 25 years. First, Coach Cheney for as long a period of time, and he had the program on the high level it was at, and then they hired the perfect right guy, Coach Dunphy, to take over for Coach Cheney. There aren't too many guys who could have pulled that off because of the way he ran the program and what he meant to the program and the like. There was, at best, a handful of people that they could have even considered for the position. Grant Dunphy was one of them. They were smart to do it. He has kept up the tradition and kept up the program the way it was supposed to be kept up. So I give credit to the athletic administration for having the 2 right coaches, 2 borderline perfect coaches for the last 25 years.
We're talking to Jody Mack. And Jody, you've had the privilege to work in New York and Philadelphia during your career. Darrelle Revis is either going to be traded today or released, according to Adam Schefter. And Schefter did tweet out today that the 2 teams that would be interested in him if he was released would be the Philadelphia Eagles or the New England Patriots. You see those 2 teams. Revis, you know what he's done in New York. He's been a sensational player now playing in Tampa Bay, always wants more money each and every year. Could you see a scenario if Revis was released that we'd possibly find his way in the city of brotherly love?
It's a good question. My guess would be probably not because of the money if he's traded, the money he's going to make is going to eat up a big portion of the Eagles' salary cap, and they have other things they need to do in this upcoming offseason, not just cornerback. I don't love the Eagle cornerback. Some people like the Eagle cornerbacks more than I do. I think Fletcher's fine. I think he was a nice free agent addition offseason. I actually believe Brandon Boykin is the best cornerback that they have, and they use him in the slot. He's not always on the field. For me, I would have him on the field 100% of the plays because I think he's the best corner, but that's just me. And I'm not the biggest Terry Williams fan. Some people like Terry because he's brash, he's physical, he'll get up and play in press coverage, but I think he gets beat too often, and I think he takes too many bad penalties. So I'm not the biggest Terry Williams fan. So they could surely upgrade the corner position, but is it a dire need? Is it something that they have to address? Probably not, and if they're going to address it, I don't think they address it with the most expensive cornerback in the National Football League. They're not that cap-friendly with that much cap space that they can afford to say, Revis is the missing piece. Yes, we'll pay him the $16 million. We'll go above and beyond what we want to pay any individual secondary player because we're that close and he's that guy. That's not the case in Philadelphia for me. So I don't see that happening. And I don't think New England's going to trade for him either because of the same thing. They're not cap friendly. The ongoing rivalry between the Jets and the Pats is still in place, and I think the Patriots just live and love to take former Jet players and watch them go up and play well for the Pats and against the Jets. But again, Reeves' cap number is just too big for the Patriots with where they're at and what they need to do during the offseason. So I think he's going to be very difficult to trade. Tampa would surely like to trade him because they get something in return rather than nothing if they cut him. But my guess is that they're not going to be able to find a trade partner, so they're going to end up having to cut him. And then it all comes down to what kind of deal Reeves wants to negotiate to play for the Eagles, to play for the Patriots, maybe to go back to the Jets, whatever place he wants to land, and how flexible he's going to be in structuring a contract so that those teams could fit him under their particular caps.
It's clear Reeves and Sherman are the best two corners in the game, and if Reeves does happen to get released, and if the Eagles are making a play on him, do you all think they will look back and say, hey, the dream team scenario, we threw a lot of money at the corners, didn't work out too well, and that will maybe say, hey, we're not going to go out there and throw a lot of money at Darrelle Reeves?
Still a little bitter Namdi Asamoah taste in their mouth. I know where you're going with that, Mr. Gelb, and yeah, you're probably right. Because they made Namdi the highest paid cornerback in the league with Reeves. Would they go back down that road again? I don't think so. Yes, I think Reeves is better than Namdi. I always thought he was better than Namdi. I know he's better than Namdi, but now, because Namdi's out of the league, so yeah, he was the available one. He's the one they made their play for, and it didn't work out. Once bitten, twice shy. Yeah, they're not going to. I think they have interest in. There should be 32 teams in the National Football League that have interest in Darrelle Reeves. He's as good as he gets. Why wouldn't you have interest in him? It all comes down to the money. Reeves redid his contract, didn't have as much guaranteed money because he didn't think that Tampa would move away from him after 1 year. They did give up a first-round draft pick that the Jets choose to take to Kid Richardson on the defensive line, who was the defensive rookie of the year. So to basically say, well, we can't afford to keep him anymore after 1 year is an ineptitude on Tampa's part. And Reeves probably didn't see that coming, but if he gets released, he's a free agent. He can once again play the free agent game and talk to anybody else out there that he wants to, and we'll see where he lands. But there should be a bunch of teams, if not every team in the league, that would want to make a play for Reeves.
Let's get to the other side of the ball. The Eagles had a prolific passing offense this past year. They went out in the offseason, re-signed Riley Cooper, re-signed Jeremy Maclin, and there were some rumors last week that Deshaun Jackson, who asked for a new contract at the end of the season, may be on his way out in Philadelphia. Do you see a scenario possibly where the Eagles go out there and trade number 10?
Highly unlikely. There was some good, fun, conflicting reports. Certain outlets were saying that the Eagles have had their fill of Jackson and his off-field issues, and yes, a fairly large cap number that goes up this year into the $10 million range. Well, he's a $10 million player for my money with the kind of production he gave them last year and should give them again this year in the Chip Kelly system. I would not be surprised if it was just floated out there that they thought it might be advantageous to get Deshaun on note, on record, that hey, you got to stop with this off the field stuff and the issues and fighting with the coaches and the like. You're getting a little older now. It's time to straighten up and fly a little bit lighter if you can do that, Mr. Jackson. I don't think they're looking to trade him. I surely don't believe they're looking to cut him. I think they can see and know that he's an integral part of their offense. So I don't think he's going anywhere. That's why someone turned around and refuted the report that he's not going anywhere. He's not one incident away from being released. I would not be surprised if that was a piece of strategy put forth by the Eagles. Now, it could blow up in their face. Deshaun could get picked off. He might be even a bigger troublemaker this year. A little bit of a risky move by the Eagles, but if I'm a betting man, Deshaun Jackson's here. Deshaun Jackson's paid his $10 million, and Deshaun Jackson, once again, will be a very productive player for the Eagles.
Foles was out there this year, and he was fantastic, and he didn't throw a whole lot of interceptions. The touchdown ratio was nice as well, and we saw him get that high touchdown mark in Oakland. And now it's going to be year number 2, his first full year as the guy going into camp, and they give him a lot of support. They bring back Maclin. They bring back Riley. They bring back some of the pieces on the offensive line, giving extensions to Kelsey and re-signing Peters as well. What's the next step? What does Nick Foles need to carry over in year number 2 to have success here in Philadelphia?
Carry over, I think he's got to reproduce. If he does what he did this year, again next year, and now remember, he didn't start all 16 games. Michael Vick started the first handful. Vick was out with a concussion for the game that Barkley played in against the Giants. That didn't go well. So he's got to stay healthy for all 16 games, and if he plays at just the same level, no better, no worse, but the same level, the Eagles will have the most proficient or second most proficient, as they did this past year, offense in football. When you have that, you can go to a Super Bowl. If you've got that kind of an offense, now you just have to upgrade your defense a little bit. And that's what I think the Eagles will do during the offseason via free agency and via the draft. He should get better. He's still on the learning curve. It'll be his first full season as a starter, so you can make the argument that he's licensed to improve. But off the season he had, I don't know that it's realistic to think that he's going to throw 45 touchdown passes and only throw 4 picks. I don't know if he can raise the bar that high, but if he just plays to the same level he did, the Eagle offense should be as good as any in the National Football League next year.
What can you expect out of Michael Vick next year? I know he probably won't be back in Philadelphia. Do you see him possibly going out there and getting a starting job in the league? I know that Adrian Peterson was vocal over the weekend in support of Michael Vick.
They re-signed Matt Castle, so I would say that's unlikely. I still think there's a good chance the Vikings are going to draft a quarterback early in the draft, first or second round going forward. There may be a spot or two where Vic is given a chance to go in and compete for a job. I don't think Vic will command a starting position, just handed the job anywhere in the NFL. So it comes down to this. Would he prefer to go somewhere else with a team that might not be as good as the Eagles, certainly a outside team in the playoffs looking in rather than the Birds, or a playoff team looking to advance and compete for a starting job? Or would he rather come back here to Philly, where he's pretty darn comfortable and likes it? He knows the Eagles did him a solid. He was out of football, and not that many teams were willing to take a chance on him. The Eagles did. So I think he has a loyalty to the Eagles and to some of his teammates that have been here with him and the like. But he knows he's going to be the backup. It's now Nick Foles' team, and the only way he plays is if Nick Foles should get hurt. I'm not positive the way it's going to shake out. Michael's on record as saying he thinks he's good enough to start, and I'm guessing at this point that's his most important piece of the puzzle is who's going to give him a chance to start. But if he doesn't really believe that the team can be any good, or that it's a competition that he may not be able to win, I think it is still possible he could re-sign his Eagles backup.
Two more here with Jody McDonald from WFAN, WIP, and the CBS Sports Radio Network. Let's move to the Phillies. They're in Clearwater right now, getting ready, playing in some spring training games. Hamels, he's not going to be back anytime soon, it does look like. How concerned are you with Hamels as he has some shoulder injuries?
Concerned. He's supposed to throw a bullpen later in the week, which is good because the reports came out last week that it was just exhaustion and dead tired, and he wasn't physically ready to throw. He threw a 35-pitch bullpen, and he felt like it was a 1,000-pitch bullpen. I mean, you hear things like that does scare you. But the Phillies and Hamels are both sticking by their story that it's not injury-related, that he doesn't have to have an MRI or certainly any kind of surgery. So it's kind of a good news, bad news situation. You just have to put Cole Hamels to the side. You can't even figure out what his return date is. If I were the Phillies, I would be planning along to have a contingency plan in place. He doesn't pitch it all this year. And you believe he's coming back at some point. Maybe it's late April, maybe it's May. It could go all the way to June. When he does, you know that's a big step up and a step forward. But as of right now, because of the uncertainty, you can't factor him in for anything. And that's not good for the Phillies anyway, slice.
You know, talking to these fans on a daily basis, that a lot of them aren't happy with the job that Ruben Amaro Jr. did in the offseason, bringing back some old names and giving them some pretty big contracts as well. Amaro, his hot seat, I would have to imagine it's starting to get a little bit warmer.
I think it's got to at least be warm now, and it certainly could get heated as the year goes on. Ruben this offseason decided, I should say in season last year into this offseason, between Utley and Ruiz, decided to keep the band together for another year with Rollins, with Cliff Lee, some of the veteran guys who have been here, that they're taking one last shot at it. If Jimmy Rollins falls apart, Chase Utley doesn't perform, Ryan Howard either struggles or gets hurt, yeah, this is on Ruben. This is his team. He decided to keep it together, even though Pat Gillick, all the way back to Ed Wade, put this team together, got these guys, procured these guys, drafted these guys before Ruben steps into the big chair. Ruben decided to keep it together. He extended Rollins, he extended Ryan Howard, he extended Utley, he extended Ruiz. So these are now Ruben's players. And if they are on the long side of 30 and they just can't perform anymore, and this team is a 70-win team, yes, it'll be on Ruben Amaro's ledger, and I think it could end up eventually costing him his job.
Jody, great to talk to you. We appreciate a few minutes, and let's do it again real soon. I appreciate it, my friend.
BG, anytime, my friend. You got it, bud.
Jody McDonald right there. We'll take a quick break here on WHIP in Philadelphia, and when we get back, Eddie Olczyk from NBC Sports will join us next to talk a little pucks.